Take the mic. All right, and we are live. Welcome everyone tuning in out there. My name is Justin Hammond. I'm the Recruitment Assistant Director for the College of Health and Human Sciences. Joining me tonight, we have two student ambassadors within our Psychological Sciences academic unit, but I'll go ahead and let them introduce themselves. What is your name, your major, and what year are you?
Okay, my name is Maya Finley. I am a junior in Psych Sciences.
Hi, my name is Courtney Isget, and I am a senior in Brain and Behavioral Sciences.
All right, well, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Throughout the stream tonight, if you do have any questions, please go ahead and type them out. I'll do my best to ask those on stream so those get answered. If I don't get to any of the questions tonight, I'll stick around for a few minutes after the stream and answer those via chat, or I'll give you guys my email and I can answer those via email as well. So, the first question that we have for you tonight, what are psychology classes like?
Do you want to start?
Sure, I'll start. So in your first like 2 semesters at Purdue, they could be quite large, probably from anywhere from like 100 to maybe even 200 students. However, the professors are accessible. There are office hours, there are teaching assistants, and it makes it very easy to go and ask questions. They definitely encourage attending office hours. So, and then as you approach like upper level classes, then your class size gets significantly smaller, and you're looking at anywhere from between 20 to like 35, maybe 50 students is the largest I've seen in an upper level class.
Yeah, and the way that your classes start your freshman year, you're already getting into a psychology class. I know in some majors, sometimes you have to start with a bunch of gen eds and prereqs before you can get into your actual major courses that you're actually interested in. But in psychology, you start with your Introduction to Psychology course, and that is a prerequisite to take all of your other psychology courses. So your first semester of freshman year, you can only start with one psychology course because it's just kind of just like one stepping stone before you can get to the rest of your courses. And then your next semester, you can take 2 courses, which are some other pretty major prerequisites, such as your statistics course, your research methods course. And then from there on, you can start to take more specialized psychology classes that you're more interested in. And those are usually where there's smaller amounts of people in your classes, and it's more geared towards what you're interested in. And you can start to take more psychology courses at once.
So, Courtney, you mentioned your professors are accessible, but if I'm in a class of, 100 or 200 people, like, how do you get that individualized attention?
Definitely by attending office hours. On every syllabus, the professor will list the times that they're available, and if you are able to meet during those hours, I would suggest, even if it's introducing yourself to your professor, if you're in a large classroom, you could just be like, "Hi, my name is Courtney, I'm a freshman, I really enjoy your class," or maybe just something simple like that, or maybe "I really enjoy your research." Otherwise, if you are not able to meet during their office hours, you can send them an email and they will schedule a time to meet with you. Definitely don't be scared to do that. They're very easy to meet with, so definitely don't feel bad about asking them for a time that's not listed on their syllabus.
And a lot of professors do have TAs, teaching assistants, and they're also very accessible, if not sometimes more than the professor, just because they're the ones grading your papers and being in all of the classes as well. And so if the professor is busy or you can't meet their specific office hours, sometimes TAs have different office hours that you can talk to them as well.
Yep. And I at least know when I was a freshman, like, I was afraid of, like, talking to faculty, but after taking a few classes, you realize, oh, they're just people too. And, like, they like talking with students. So definitely utilize those office hours. Not a lot of people go to those, especially early on. Yeah. But around midterms, I know they do.
Everyone starts going into office hours.
Yeah, don't wait till around midterms. Go talk to your professor before that. Okay, next question we have. What are your plans after graduation?
So I'm a junior, like I said, and by the time I graduate, I will have hopefully been accepted into a graduate school program, and I will go off to get my PhD in industrial organizational psychology.
I actually graduate this May, and I am I will be teaching English in Spain for a year, actually.
Oh,
So what
that's
I will
cool.
be doing. Yeah. So I'll be there for a year, and then I'm applying to grad schools this fall for fall of 2020, and that will be for a clinical psychology PhD program.
Okay, so both of you continuing education then.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so what other student organizations are you a part of? Obviously, you're student ambassadors, so you help us out with some of these events, but is there anything else you're a part of?
Sure. I'm actually a president of a psychology club that we have here on campus, and that's called the Purdue Undergraduates in Psychological Research. And it's a club to get you involved in research, to network with other faculty and professors, research assistants, stuff like that. It's a great opportunity to expand your research knowledge. Also, we have a lot of students that are involved in the research-focused honors program or just regular research, and you're like maybe going to participate in the Purdue's undergraduate research conference and stuff like that. So personally, I am not in the research-focused honors program. However, I am involved in my own research project, and I will be presenting a poster. So it's just about staying involved in research and learning more.
Not involved in much. There is the Psych-Chi Honor Society, which is the Psychology Honor Society program, and that's something that you get invited to be into, and then from there you accept to go into it. And it's always good to be in at least one honor society during your undergrad program, because that's something that is very helpful in terms of information and just getting extra knowledge, whether that's for the university or for research or for graduate school, or just for work life after college. And it also just looks really good to have whenever you are applying to other places. And I'm also involved in a cooperative house. It's an off-campus housing option, but that's something that does take up some of my time. And
Can you explain a little bit what's a cooperative house?
yeah, so a cooperative house, it's a community of houses, like I said, that's off campus, but it's a more affordable housing option for students. And you can come in to a cooperative house as a freshman and live in your freshman year and go all the way through with your senior, or you can apply to be in the house any year. And it's for cooperative houses. We have our application opened at the beginning of your spring semester, and then you go through the recruitment process during February to see all of the houses and figure out which ones you would most want to live in. And then you start, if you if you accept to live in a house, you can start living in by the following fall semester. And it's, like I said, just a more affordable housing option where you essentially take care of the house yourself. You have cooking duties and cleaning duties, and it's usually less people living in the house than a typical sorority or fraternity. My house, for example, has 35 girls in it, and it's just a way to be able to find a lot of people that you can get to know really well and do all kinds of activities with, whether that's like intramural sports or going and studying or getting involved in other activities that they may be involved in. And then it's also just a really nice way to have a more enhanced social life.
Sounds like you like it. Yeah,
I love it. It's great.
To say about it. Courtney, you mentioned in your last answer, research 20 times.
Yes.
So I know a lot of students right now, I mean, they're currently in high school. They're probably not thinking about research, but that's pretty important in psychology. So both of you are actually involved in research. So can you talk a little bit about that experience? You know, why do you do research within psychology and what do you get out of it?
So for me, I am very interested in research with the military, and there's a lot of psychology options. With that, Purdue actually has a Military Family Research Institute. In my freshman year, I got involved in research there. And then through that, I've also been working in some other psychology labs. I do research with Dr. Karpickian. He does research on human memory. That's really important. Going into like college not knowing how to study and stuff like that. He teaches you about retrieval practice and a bunch of other things to basically like improve your performance on tests or anything that pertains to memory. So I think that's really important. Definitely once you start taking classes with your professors, you can look into what research they're involved in and then see whether or not that interests you, and then you can send them an email or meet them in their office hours or after class and ask about getting involved in research.
Yeah.
And what about you?
So, at the beginning of my sophomore year, I actually got involved with research under Dr. Monteith. She's a social psychologist, and she looks at prejudice, discrimination, and bias in various contexts, and how to try to mitigate that or control that within oneself, and then ways to try to confront and reduce prejudice and bias in other people. And the way that I got involved in that was a little bit different. There's actually a course in psychology, and it's called, it's the Psych 390 course, and it's called Research Experience in Psychology, and it's not actually a class, even though it's registered as a course and you get course credit. All it is actual research experience. And so if you take like a 3 credit hour Psych 390, that would be like 9 hours in the lab, and it's really nice. You can just look up on the Purdue website. You can look up Psych 390 opportunities or undergraduate research, and it'll list which professors have openings in their lab to have RAs, research assistants, and from there you can apply to be a research assistant, and then you usually get an interview with them, and then from there you can be chosen to be an RA in their lab. And it's really awesome because you can start fairly early. Like I said, I got involved my sophomore year, and it's just a really good way to learn how research is done. Just at a very basic level, you learn how to run participants, or how to help graduate students with their studies, or sometimes how to code data or analyze data. But basically, you just get a very basic knowledge of how research is done. But now, another thing that I'm involved in is the Research Focused Honors Program, which is a program at Purdue that you begin the second semester of your junior year, and it's something that is very selective, and it's really awesome because it's a way to work independently on a research project you work independently on a project, but you're working very closely with your mentor, which is a faculty member that you choose to work with, and you work with them one-on-one on your own project. And it's a really awesome way to start research from the very beginning, from scratch, looking through literature, trying to find a research question that you want to answer that hasn't been previously studied. And then it's a way to find your question, to build a proposal, to conduct your study, and then to analyze your data and write a thesis. Some people even get their papers published. And
Wow.
all of that in the course of 3 semesters as an undergrad. So it's a really quick but very, very in-depth way to do all of this research experience that people in graduate school look for. It's something that you're going to be doing in graduate school, but you can do it as an undergrad so that you get all of that extra experience. So, yeah.
So earlier when you said you weren't doing a lot, that was a lie. It sounds like you do a lot.
I guess it's, I don't do a lot outside of school, but yes.
Lots of research.
Lots of research, but I love it. It's, whenever you find what you want to do with your life, it doesn't feel like work sometimes. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. Another question then. Study abroad. Can you do study abroad while being a psychology student?
Yeah, of course. Actually, after my first 2 semesters at Purdue, I did a study abroad to Madrid, and it was a 6-week program. I'm a Spanish minor, so that was useful. We went and we studied like Spanish culture, and also I took an advanced grammar course as well. So it was really fun. We got to explore. We went to like 6 historic cities in Spain, and we got to try a bunch of different foods, and we lived with a host family. It was a really great experience. So definitely something I would suggest, especially because we do give scholarships for studying abroad. So
Can't turn down that free money.
yeah, exactly.
And I know a lot of people may be worried that they might not be able to do a study abroad in terms of like trying to get that research experience in, or if they have a lot of other classes that they're trying to take. But the beauty of study abroad is that you can do it anywhere from 2 weeks up until however long you want to do it, like a semester, a year.
Yeah, actually we have study abroad that are as short as a week now.
Yeah,
so between a week and a year,
So-
and everywhere in between.
Oh yeah, you can do it spring break, you can do it summer. you can do your study abroad without having to actually be in school. So you don't have to you're not going to fall back in your studies because you want to study abroad. It's definitely an option that you should consider, and there are definitely opportunities within psychology that you can look into, and that's something that your advisor can talk to you about, or if you just talk to anyone that is more knowledgeable than I am.
We have a study abroad office.
Yes, they usually know about study abroad opportunities, and that's definitely a place where you can go and figure out your opportunities and when you can do that, so that you're not falling behind in your studies if that's something that you're concerned about.
Yep.
I was also going to chime in. So when it comes to studying abroad, you do not have to study abroad with just your major. You can study abroad in other departments. So that means if an engineering, like chemical engineering, is going to Italy for 6 weeks, there's a possibility that you can go as well. They do, for the most part, they do open it up. Some of them are selective, however, others are not. So it's important to look at all of your options in a specific country or location that you'd be interested in going.
Yep, it can be a nice way to work on your minor as well.
Exactly.
And you don't necessarily need to speak the language too. So my study abroad was in Tanzania. I did not speak Swahili that well. So definitely didn't speak it formally, but I mean, a year or two, we would have kind of informal sessions and practice Swahili a little bit. So I could speak it somewhat, but
enough to get you by.
I didn't need to take an official Swahili class here at Purdue. So yeah, lots of study abroad options that are available out there. All right, we have time for one last quick question. So, learning communities. Were either of you a member of a learning community? Knew anyone that was? Or, what are learning communities?
I was not involved in a learning community.
No, I was actually not involved in a learning community either. It was something that was given to me as an option whenever I did apply and get accepted into Purdue. They asked if that was something that I would be interested in, and I actually declined it. I'm not sure why I chose that, but it doesn't really matter. Either way, it's just your personal preference. A learning community is just a way for you to be able to live with the people that are doing similar work as you. And so there's obvious benefits to that, of course, because then it's a way for you to be able to study with and do homework with the people, the same people that are in your classes, so that you guys can build off of each other and help each other out. And it's a really great way to be able to be always caught up with your studies and have a study buddy so that you're not falling behind, because sometimes that happens. But if you don't choose a learning community, that's not a bad thing, because the awesome thing about your majors is that, the farther along you get, you start to have classes with these same people because they're taking the same classes as you. And so it's not hard to be able to just get their number, ask them if they want to study together or with you, and then you guys can just go ahead and do that. And like I said, with my cooperative house, that's another awesome thing about living in a cooperative house, is there's sometimes a lot of other girls that have similar majors or just the same classes as you. And so you are essentially living with those people that you can do homework with. But like I said, you don't have to live with people that have similar classes as you to be able to have people to study with. But it is definitely an awesome benefit, and Purdue has structured it so that it works out super well. And I know a couple people that are in them, and it's awesome. And I think it's just a really great way to be able to always be ahead of the game.
I will say the psychology learning community has changed since you guys probably applied for it. Now it's a part of the Datamine learning community. Have you guys heard of the Datamine at all?
No.
All right. So it's a relatively new initiative at Purdue. So the Datamine houses many different subsets of learning communities, and psychology is one of those. So the Datamine is really geared around getting students involved in undergraduate research, even their first year here on campus. So for psychology, you can be a part of that your freshman year, and you can continue it multiple years now too. So if you wanted, you could get a jump start on that undergraduate research and also live with other students that are wanting to do research within psychology too.
Wish I would have known that.
Yeah, that's really beneficial.
Well, I don't know if it was necessarily around when you two were freshmen.
Yeah.
Okay.
So with that, we are out of time tonight. Thank you very much again, you two, for coming out and answering some questions for us. Once again, I'll stick around in the chat if you do have any additional questions. But with that, we'll go ahead and end the stream. Thanks again, and boiler up.
Ooh, boiler up.